Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
This is a council. Let's see. Let's just pause for a minute.
Recording stopped. Recording stopped.
Okay.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Okay.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Good evening. This is a Greenbelt City Council work session. My name is Emmett Jordan. I'm the mayor.
Kristen Weaver, Mayor Pro Tem.
Silky Pope, Council.
Danielle McKinney, council member.
Jenny Pompey, council member.
Amy Niesel, Council Member.
Rodney Roberts, City Council.
Okay, before we get started, any information items? I've got one. Mr. Semeron, council members, information items? Okay. Well, we do hold these council work sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays several times a month to exchange information with community stakeholder groups or to gather information from staff, advisory boards, or residents. No formal votes or formal actions are taken at work sessions. Our work sessions, as well as our meetings, are always open to the public except for executive sessions as authorized by state law, so that the residents and others can observe council's deliberations. We do strive to provide reasonable opportunities for the public to voice opinions and to ask questions on matters being considered. So tonight we'll pause periodically during these times. If you wish to ask a question, if you're here in the room, I'm not seeing anybody here in the room, but if you are here in the room, raise your hand after being recognized. You can go over to the podium. You need to state your name and where you live. We need that for the minutes. If you're on Zoom, you can use the Q&A tab to submit a written question, or you can raise your virtual hand. And once again, We'll promote you so you can speak. You'll have to provide your name and where you live, and also in the chat, you need to provide your name. We don't accept anonymous comments. And of course, if you're watching on cable TV or streaming on Facebook, you can send us a question by email. The email address is questions@greenbeltmd.gov. So the public comment, limit your comments to 2 minutes, to 3 minutes actually, and speak on one topic related to the question under consideration. We ask that you not question the motives of others. In general, we're all neighbors, so please be civil in your remarks. Tonight, a very special work session. We're talking with our friends from State Highway Administration, from the District 3 office. And it's been a little while since we've had a chance to sit and talk with SHA. You know, Greenbelt is a very unique community, but we are literally bisected or bisected by state highways. Greenbelt Road goes right through the middle of, divides north and south, and Kenilworth Avenue, east and west, and of course we've got the Beltway that cuts right through Greenbelt. Our community is literally cut into pieces by large roadways. So the partnership with SHA is very, very important, and that's why we appreciate the opportunity to be able to sit and talk with you from time to time. So we've got a number of individuals. I think we have 2 people online and 2 people here in the room. But first I'll pivot over to City Manager Summerone. City Manager Summerone, how are you? Good evening. We're also joined by our Director of Planning and Community Development, Terry Ruby. Terry, how you doing? Okay. So this is an interesting time that we're living through right now, and kind of going from a winter to spring is also a challenging time on our state highways. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to give us a real quick update on some of the big issues that you're facing right now. I just wanted to also compliment you on the progress being made on the Purple Line. It's been a real heavy lift, and for many of our residents that travel throughout the region, being on East-West Highway or over in Montgomery County and Adelphi, all of the road work is very, very challenging, but it's good to see some progress is being made. And also, I want to compliment you on all of the work on Route 1 in College Park. The many safety improvements, pedestrian and bicycle amenities, very, very helpful. So why don't you introduce yourselves? I know we've got 2 people online. I believe we have Sabrina Mason, who's the Community Relations Manager for District 3, working with municipalities. Keisha Garner are both online. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hello. Yes.
Welcome. Good to have you online. And in the
Thank
room,
you for having us.
we've got Robert Stewart and Eric Florence. So welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to say thank you to the room here. We'd like to extend our deepest gratitude for inviting us. On behalf of Derek Gunn, our district engineer, we feel honored to be partners here with the City of Greenbelt, and we look forward to being able to provide some vital information, some updates. Thank you all for submitting the questions in advance. We did do our due diligence and give them some advanced research and provide hopefully some positive updates to the group.
Okay. Do you have any additional updates on just big picture updates? Over on Kenilworth Avenue, the Purple Line going down the middle of the roadway there, what's the next step with that?
Right now, I mean, they're in the middle of track installation, University Boulevard. The current status is there's a road closure on New Hampshire, Maryland 650. So the through traffic on Maryland 650, there's no through movement or left turns being made. And this is so that they can install the track at a quicker pace. Right now, having that type of road closure is a significant disruption to the community. And so allowing them to close down the road in that manner expedites the amount of time the road is to be closed and providing discomfort and inconvenience to the community.
That's big news. That just happened today?
No, it happened March 28th, I believe.
Really?
And that was the second closure. The previous 3 weeks was Riggs Road, Maryland 212. Same type of closure. They was able to close down the road and get the track installed within 3 weeks.
Any other big news, big projects that would be affecting Greenbelters?
Nothing that I can think of at the moment. I'll kick it over to Robert if you have something in mind.
Nothing at the moment, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I suppose we can go ahead and dive into some of the questions that we posed. The first area of discussion has to do with pedestrian and bicycle safety. Many concerns around 193 Greenbelt Road and 201 Kenilworth Avenue. There have been accidents, there have been fatalities from time to time. So we've had a lot of discussions over the past few years about improvements. I guess it was about 4 years ago, we did a walking tour with our state senator, Alonzo Washington, and he pointed out a number of safety issues. It seems like most of them have been addressed, but I'm wondering if we can talk a bit about Route 193 and Kenilworth Avenue as well. It does seem like there are fatalities from time to time, and it's just not a friendly, it's not a bike or pedestrian friendly roadway for the most part.
So SHA is committed to improving safety for our vulnerable road users, including pedestrians and bicyclists along our state roadways. We're excited about our upcoming programs related to PSAP, which is our Pedestrian Safety Action Plans, as well as improving bike connectivity, enhancing sign and pavement marking along our roadways, signal upgrades, lighting upgrades, as well as targeted improvements at high conflict locations.
Well, it's been a few years since there was a bike lane, lines for a bike lane painted in between Cunningham Road and Kenilworth Avenue. And it was a little surprised. I think there had been some repaving done, some utility work. So it's a striped line, solid line, with a couple of striped inlets. Is there any, we wanted a protected bike lane or at least some better markings over on Route 1. I've seen quite a bit of green paint used, and that seems to help the visibility quite a bit. So is there any additional work being done or proposals, based on our previous discussions and the conversations we've had in the past? There's another problematic area over on Hanover Parkway and Greenbelt Road. It's very much a failing intersection. So at the last work session that we had with SHA, we were told that the engineering department would be working out a solution to a lighting on the crosswalk going across Greenbelt Road on the western side. The homeowners association there, Greenbrier, has expressed grave concerns about that crossing. Students from the high school, people from the center who choose to walk down to Greenway Center, cross there all the time, and the cars are queued up in the morning around school time. It's very much a failing intersection. So, I don't know, perhaps Sabrina, who I think was actually with us during that last work session, Derek Gunn was certainly there, but we were assured that some sort of a solution would be worked out. Do you have an update on that for us?
So yes, we do have an update. We're actively coordinating with our partners at PEPCO to install lighting in the northwest corner of Hanover Parkway at Maryland 193. PEPCO has completed their electrical design at that location, and construction is currently scheduled for later spring 2025.
That's a relief if it does go forward, if and when it does go forward. Another concern at that same intersection, every day in the morning from 7 o'clock until about 10 o'clock, it's just a failing intersection with people coming into the school, turning into the school from Greenbelt Road, folks trying to get out of the condominium development there, and people just kind of going through, trying to get up to the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, the traffic backs up and the intersection just comes to a stop. So at one of our last work sessions, Mayor Pro Tem actually came up with an excellent suggestion, and we were wondering if it would be possible to put some additional markings at that intersection. What do you call that? Don't block the box.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. It's dangerous. And every day, I mean, it seems like traffic has gotten worse recently. But I'll say it again, it's really a failing intersection. I don't know what we can do. We've talked about timing improvements. And that's a simple solution that would just take a little bit of paint.
So SHA is conducting a traffic study to evaluate the traffic and safety concerns at the intersection of Maryland 193 and Hanover Parkway. Our study is anticipated to be complete in spring, summer 2025. We hope to provide you an update after that.
Okay. Don't want to get too far away from pedestrian and bicycle safety. So we're kind of looking at Vision Zero plans. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, I had a question related to sort of pedestrian issues in that area, but if you want to talk about after I just don't want, I don't want to move away from the pedestrian safety before we get
Why
to
don't you go
that.
ahead?
So I'm sorry I didn't send it ahead of time. It didn't occur to me until then, but how much of the jurisdiction, like next to the sidewalk and the road is SHA? Because for example, there's a bus stop along there on the south side of the road. And the bus stop is there, but then there's like no way down into the shopping center parking lot. You either have to, if you can stay on the sidewalk, you have to go quite a ways, or you just go down the grassy slope, which is what I've done when I've gone over there. But I don't know if is that something, do you have much shoulder jurisdiction? Because or is that mostly on the shopping center?
So, I mean, off the top of my head, I'd have to check our right-of-way plats to see where SHA's right-of-way line falls within that area. So I'm just unable to provide you.
Yeah, no, and
solid
I'm sorry I
answer.
didn't send it ahead of time. I've had a resident ask me about it, and I forgot about it until just now. But so maybe something else, if you can follow up, that would be great.
Yeah, I can think of some other instances right at that same intersection of Hanover Parkway and Greenbelt Road. I've literally watched a gentleman trying to cross the street in a wheelchair, and there's just not enough time. I've also seen elderly people and folks with physical challenges. The timing on the walk sign, the walk light, it just doesn't seem like there's enough time to get across. Is there like a set amount of time, or how do you calculate the amount of time that is given to cross the street?
So typically there's guidelines in our MUTCD, which allows like 3.5 feet per second for average pedestrian walk time. There's flexibility in that where we account for senior citizens that have a slower walk speed. There is opportunity whenever we get requests to increase the pedestrian walk time. We work with our Office of Traffic and Safety to see if there can be some type of signal timing. That's not an unusual request.
Yeah. I remember I was in a car with the city manager. We were literally watching somebody try and get across the street in a wheelchair. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is at the crosswalk at the shopping center?
Yeah. Once again, at the on the western side of Greenbelt Road at Hanover Parkway. And there's a number of other concerns, other sections of Greenbelt Road, in particular with the sidewalk conditions, and just the way that things are. A point that's come up a number of times has to do with the 495 overpass. The lighting is not good. There is no lighting there, and the sidewalk conditions are kind of sketchy. So that's an area of concern that we've brought up before. Mr. Roberts, please go ahead.
I just have a question about bicycle safety in general. First, I was wondering if you saw or know of, it was a project that somebody did up in Laurel, right on Route 1 by Whiskey Bottom Road, where they put a bunch of bollards and bike lanes right on Route 1 there for maybe a quarter mile going south. But it was in there for a few months, and then they all got taken out. Do you know anything about that? Or any projects like that in your area?
I might be a little familiar with that. That's outside of our district.
Okay.
But I did speak to our neighboring District 7 that's responsible. They have Howard County and Frederick and Carroll.
Yeah.
And so I believe they received a request to look at some type of pedestrian amenity, whatever. And what they did was they put those bollards in, probably flex posts, really.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if it was only going to be on for an interim period of time, like pretty much like a temporary solution. And from what I remember of that, was a flex post was supposed to extend down into close to like Laurel in that area. But
Yeah.
what I can do is I'll follow up with
Well,
our
the point I want to make is that, it really was not a safe situation, not for people on bikes or people on cars or on walking. And I saw a lot more people walking there than I ever saw. I never saw any bikers there.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make sense that State Highway continues to encourage people to mingle with car traffic, bicycles. You go up Route 1, it says, bike can use a full lane on Route 1. There's no way I would take a bicycle on one lane in Route 1. I'd get run over. It's bad enough in a car or on a motorcycle or whatever. But when are we going to get by this mentality that we can mix the two and still have safety? Because there's no safety when bicyclists have to mingle with automobiles, even if you have a bollard there, because bollards don't hold anything. People run right through bollards all the time. So I think it's something that's stuck in the mind of people at SHA that they can do that, and you just can't. I mean, you have to have protected areas for bike lanes, and if we do that, then we can get more people to use them and have less traffic on the roads like Hanover Parkway, where it's just a big traffic jam all the time, and so many of our other roads are just overwhelmed with cars. And the more we build up roads, the less, in my opinion, the less quality of life we have around here, because we're just getting run over by cars all the time. So, do you see any time in the future when maybe we'll get beyond that and start to do the right thing and have separate lanes for bikes and cars?
There is an active push to have separate amenities for bicyclists on state roads. Right now, there's a balancing act because we have different classifications of bicyclists. So we have those who do more recreational bicycling and they're more apt to use the off-road. Then we have those who are true bicyclists who want to be on the road. And so where we have to focus our effort at is trying to find a way to make their experience safer. There's also the balancing act of not having enough right-of-way and having to purchase right-of-way to accommodate widening so that we can give those separate bicycle lanes or buffers in between the travel lane and the dedicated bike lane. And so that's really our effort. We work with the federal government.
I don't think there's a lot of bikers out there that really want to be mingling with cars. If they had a chance not to, I think that's what they would do.
Yes.
Because it's, everybody is made of the same thing. When you get hit by a car, doesn't care if you're a novice or a professional.
Yeah, that's very well said, Mr. Roberts. So there's been a lot of talk and a lot of planning around the Vision Zero plans, just setting goals to eliminate pedestrian and bicycle fatalities. And as I said initially, we've had a few on Kenilworth Avenue and on Greenbelt Road. So the speed at which the cars go up and down Kenilworth Avenue and Greenbelt Road is it's just dangerous. Cars are going 60, 70 miles per hour pretty often. So specifically, what are you doing with Vision Zero plans within our jurisdiction?
So some upcoming improvements that we're looking at investigating. On Maryland 193, between Cherrywood and 63rd, we're looking at improving pedestrian safety by adding additional crosswalks at those signalized intersections, upgrading and enhancing lighting, installing new lighting as well. On Maryland 193 between Cherrywood and Kenilworth, we're looking at installing flex posts within the shoulder area to help deter motorists from using the shoulder to bypass and enter those right turn lanes early.
Coming from Kenilworth, going on to Greenbelt Road by the French Immersion School.
Yes.
Because that's a question that I had, because that intersection with all the turn lanes, you have motorists like either cutting over this to the right, going onto Greenbelt Road, or cutting from Greenbelt Road all the way from one lane all the way over to the left to go on Kenilworth, which rush hour time, it's really dangerous because a lot of times I have to come to a full brake because somebody in front of me just tries, pushes their brakes and wants to turn left. So, I mean, because they don't want to go in line, of course. So that's a very dangerous intersection. And I was wondering if we were able to put some kind of physical barrier there, so you must stay in your lane.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at using flex posts, which
Right,
is
right.
a cost-effective solution to help deter motorists from using the shoulder.
Right.
They don't stand up physically very
Right,
strong
right.
to actual motorists, but it should help keep motorists within their lanes and from merging early or from being within a right turn lane but traversing across the intersection and just proceeding straight.
Okay, yeah, that would be very helpful. That's great. Thank you.
What else do you have?
On Maryland 193 from Mandan Road to Good Luck Road, we're looking at installing a double-wide edge line to improve conspicuity and installing flex posts and quick curb at specific locations to discourage motorists from driving on that shoulder.
That would be the proposed Greenbelt East bike trail that you're talking about. Double lines on both sides? I've noticed there's double lines now between Mandan going along NASA Goddard.
I could confirm. I think this one's specifically for westbound Maryland 193, but I can look into that and follow up.
Okay.
And in regards to the Greenbelt East Trail that you brought up, SHA has prepared a feasibility study that is currently in the review process. And we're looking to provide that final study later this year that is investigating the feasibility of installing the shared use path on the north side of Maryland 193 from Hanover Parkway all the way east to the Glendale Splash Park.
All right. That's a powerful connection. Many cyclists would appreciate being able to get from the bike trails by the Anacostia and by Indian Creek all the way out to the Splash Park. They'd be able to continue up the WB&A trail. And I understand that the crossing across the Patuxent River between Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County is finally complete and it's supposed to open up in May. Is that correct?
I would have to confirm. I've been tracking it a little bit, but I've lost track of when it's going to be complete.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Yeah, Ms. Pope.
Thank you. Quick question about the intersection Lake Crest Drive and 193. It gets pretty congested, and I'm glad that we have the light there because years ago there was not even a light to turn. So that's definitely a safety improvement and definitely is helpful. But the intersection is just awkward because you come up from Lake Crest, you have a stop sign, stop here, then you have Legion Drive, right? But if we have a green light going straight onto Greenbelt Road, the people who come from Legion Drive, they have no chance to get out except they have to literally cut out in front of you. So I know we talked about that intersection a few times, but I'm just wondering if there are any improvements planned or if you guys are looking at that again or still.
So for future improvements, I'm not aware of any at the moment. However, we can look at that intersection and conduct a traffic study, and then we can follow up with our final recommendations from that.
Okay, that'd be great. Is there a timeline to those traffic studies when you do them?
So it depends on the context of the location or the type of improvement that we're looking at. Something that would involve traffic signals, as it involves us coordinating internally with multiple of our partnering offices and divisions. Typically, they're around 90 days, give or take, based on that type of coordination.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other Vision Zero? Any other Vision Zero related projects slated for the city of Greenbelt this year?
Did you want to go over the APNC,
One other improvement is Maryland 193 from where Greenbelt Road first intersects with it, all the way to Kenilworth. We're just upgrading the size of the speed limit signs to oversized so that they're more conspicuous, easier to see, should help with compliance to following the speeds.
Right, right. So that's the intersection of Kenilworth and Greenbelt Road, between there and really Lake Crest, the Beltway. That's certainly, it's a speedway. Cars are going 60, 70 miles per hour. I guess there's 9 different lanes right there at the intersection of Greenbelt Road and Hanover Parkway. How many lanes is it?
Sure, counted.
It's a lot of lanes. So what about the speeding? And you know, Kenilworth Avenue on weekends in the summer. Occasionally, I've heard people say that it literally is being used as a racetrack. So while we're kind of focusing in on Greenbelt Road because that's more heavily traveled with pedestrians and cyclists, are there any thoughts about trying to manage or slow down the traffic on Kenilworth Avenue up there? And that is a location, that intersection of Greenbelt Road and Hanover Park and Kenilworth Avenue. There have been several fatalities in the past 3 years.
I mean, we can certainly look at, we can go out and conduct a spot speed study along Kenilworth Avenue. We can set the limits from, let's say, south of Maryland 193 and take it up to where...
Potomac, perhaps?
Yeah, Potomac, and then maybe take it up to where 95 295 ramps are at,
Right.
and just see if what we're gathering is the same what you're experiencing as far as the speed. We have similar situations off of Maryland 210, excuse me.
210, yes.
And so similar type of roadway where there are different traffic calming options we can put in if it's warranted. So we definitely take a look at it for you.
If we were to be interested in putting a speed camera along that right-of-way, Kenilworth Avenue, is that something that would be acceptable? How would we go about starting that dialogue?
You would first have to contact the local police agency.
At the Greenbelt Police?
Yes.
Oh. What would be the next step after that?
They would put
We're
a
in
request.
contact with them.
Oh.
Yeah.
They would put a request in. There's a application. We go work with the police force to determine whether or not the speed cameras are warranted.
Okay. Councilmember Pompey.
Yeah, when you guys were here, when you guys were here last year, we had requested you guys to do a speed study on that from the what is it called, the slip, what is it called, the slipway coming off the Parkway onto Greenbelt Road. There's like when you come off the Parkway onto Greenbelt Road, it's sort of slip.
Deceleration.
Yeah, that deceleration ramp where people actually just accelerate, and because there's like a little triangle there with a bus stop and a crosswalk that's right as people are whipping around the corner and you can't see anything. So we had requested a speed study there, just to see what we could do to make that area more safe. Needed better signage there, because that slip lane then goes directly onto Southway. So it goes from the Parkway and loops directly around onto Southway, but there's like this little triangle where there's a bus stop. So people are always crossing back and forth right there when cars are whipping right off the Parkway. So I just wanted to follow up and see, I mean, had that study been done? What was the plan on that? Is it in the works?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. The cars coming off of the Parkway on that deceleration ramp, as you said, instead of slowing down and merging, because the people on Greenbelt Road actually have the right-of-way.
Right.
Instead, because they're coming off of the highway, they're not slowing down. In fact, they're speeding up sometimes.
That's
And our residents and others are trying to make a right turn into Southway to
Right.
get into the old Greenbelt. So it's,
Yeah,
there's a
so
real
it's like
conflict
with
down
the
there.
bus stop, and then there's like the intersection, the crosswalk on Southway. It's,
Yeah. I have it on my screen. It doesn't seem to want to actually share.
We was going to ask if you could, we was trying to place where you were.
Yeah, there it goes. There it goes.
And
So-
with your mouse,
So
can you
it's-
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
this
it's
this area, this I think right here.
zoom in just a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a bit more of context.
yeah, so they, people kind of whip around that curve, and then there's the bus stop right there.
Yeah,
That's like right as you come off. And then,
Better if you just got rid of that lane.
I mean, yeah, that would,
Okay, I know.
that would certainly be the
So they
best
would
way to go
have to
about it.
come down to Greenbelt Road there, then make the right,
All right.
and get rid of that conflict.
Right, if they got rid of that slip lane, then everyone just went straight and went right.
yeah, because this is a crosswalk for people coming walking up to get to this bus stop.
Yeah, that's a real, in the past, that's been an issue just with maintaining the trees and whatnot, so that if you are a pedestrian or a cyclist, you can actually look to your left if you're going east to see if there are cars coming off of the Parkway going 60 miles per hour. So that's a real touch point there, real danger point. Oh,
Are we good with that? Should I stop share?
we're good with that.
Concrete there.
So we asked about a speed study.
Okay, we will,
Last year?
we'll follow up.
About a
was
year and a
last
half
year,
ago,
yeah.
last year.
Last December, I think.
Yeah.
December 2024?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, December 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll follow
So
up.
I was kind of hoping that it would have been completed by now.
Right. Any other comments about pedestrian and bicycle safety? Yeah, Councilmember.
I'm wondering also at that intersection, maybe it's a different one, but the pedestrian safety that is going eastbound on Greenbelt Road, where you turn onto, is it Hanover? So
Hanover.
where the CVS is, and I know that we had talked about that crosswalk was fairly dangerous, especially for, you have a lot of the kids coming from the high school, you have people that are crossing Greenbelt Road, especially on, that may be, have mobility issues in wheelchairs and things like that. So when you're trying to make the turn onto Hanover Parkway from Greenbelt, it is people just shoot around that corner. So I don't know if there's also something that could be looked at. And I don't know if we had brought that up before either.
That's kind of like an engineering comment. So you've got these peninsulas, sort of like pork chops, where right turns are channelized. So is that something that is in the NTUC design standards? It seems like it's a lot safer when a car can just make a right-hand turn and there isn't like a pork chop there directing pedestrians.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one.
That little triangle right there.
Yeah, the triangle's right there,
Pork
so
chop.
people gotta go from the triangle and then cross the turn lane on it. And so they're crossing the road from Greenbelt, crossing Greenbelt Road, especially coming from the school, and then they're stuck right on that triangle to get then across the turn lane to then get into what is the retail and shopping area. So I'm not sure what else could be done in that area, but I feel like that's a
there.
little bit problematic, that little triangle right there.
Right turn, slip lane. Yeah, and
Thank
cars
you.
don't, the cars don't yield. They you know,
don't.
if someone's standing there because the traffic is going pretty fast, they just keep going. It's dangerous. So what are you doing about these kinds of slip lanes?
So slip lanes exist a lot in a lot of locations
Yeah.
as we balance mobility and safety. So slip lanes provide additional mobility for heavy right turn volumes. However, they do sometimes create safety hazards for these crosswalks. The study that we're conducting at 193 at Hanover Parkway, we can include that location into the overall study and see if there's any traffic control devices or other treatments that we can do to further enhance safety.
That would be great, thank you. I think, just want to call out because literally right across the street is the high school. So you have all of those students that are crossing there.
And they cross on that side. They don't
Yep.
cross on the eastern side. They cross on the western side because they're going over to the shopping center. See, I'm trying to think. I know, were there some concerns that we had around Beltway Plaza?
Well, it's the bike lanes there. That, I
Bike
think
lane.
that was our concern with that, is that there's those bike lanes very long,
Right.
about right going up to Beltway Plaza that are not at all protected.
Right.
They're just like right there, and people are turning in.
As you are going over Kenilworth, right at Dora Kennedy Immersion, basically a bike lane just starts. And you have the cars that are turning into the school, you have the buses that are going into the bus depot, and then you also have all these cars going into Beltway Plaza. And that bike lane right that is there, that's the main bike lane for that street. So I understand the purpose of bike lanes, but I'm not sure how safe that bike lane is because of all the traffic that's there. So I'm not sure what alternatives maybe were looked at in that study or if that can be addressed. We also have, if you don't know, one of our schools, our elementary schools, will be going into that building in a year. So the volume and the number of students, granted, they might be coming in an additional entrance, but you're going to have more volume at that school, at least for a temporary basis, while we swing kids into that school.
I think I heard you say that you're proposing to put bollards there from Cunningham to Kenilworth.
Yeah, and they would be installed in the shoulder area. So what we've observed is that motorists, previously there was an auxiliary lane on that right-hand side, and it went the entire stretch of roadway.
Right.
Motorists are still treating it like it's an auxiliary lane.
Right.
So we would be looking to install flex posts at strategic locations, which would force
Flex
those
posts.
motorists to merge back into the normal through lanes. And so that they're only crossing the bike lane at the specific merging points as like a right turn bay opens up at an intersection.
And the bike lane lines have been there now for about 2 years, so it shouldn't be a big shock to people that these flex poles, a few flex poles might be going up to
Yeah.
better delineate exactly what is supposed to happen there.
Is there a timeline on this?
I don't have a specific timeline at the moment. I can follow up with that. But we are actively working with our maintenance staff to get that scheduled.
Just because that is a very, very dangerous section for both cars and bikes, and it's been an issue for a very long time. So I would definitely appreciate a follow-up on the timeline, please.
Mayor Pro Tem? No? Yes, please.
Councilmember McKinney mentioned that we're going to be having some new students go into that, the old middle school, which is currently Dora Kennedy French Immersion School. Those are all going to be walkers. So that's about, I don't know, how many students are there, Silky? Like 800 students that are probably 95 or 99% of them walk.
Yes.
So just flagging that there's going to be a lot of need for pedestrian safety right up there in that area as we have, young, kids ages 5 to 10 walking. Whereas now there are very few walkers at that school. So
Yeah, I was wondering if I can talk a little bit about signalization and the timing on the lights. It seems like there are 3 or 4. Can you explain the timing on the lights in Greenbelt Road? There are cycles, different times of day. How does that work?
So our traffic signals and systems can be set up in a multitude of different ways. How Greenbelt Road is specifically set up, I would have to follow up with you directly. However, most of our intersections in SHA operate on what we would call semi-actuation. That means that the side streets typically have detection, and the main line left turn lanes also have detection. If no vehicles are detected in either those left turn lanes or the side streets, it just keeps the through movement for the main line going. Upon detecting a motorist waiting, the controller logs that and then would eventually actuate to that phase to switch over. We also have setback detection, which can detect approaching vehicles to know if it needs to keep extending the green time or if it can allow it to just end and move on to the next phase within that cycle. We also, for specific locations that warrant additional pedestrian safety, we install LPIs, or leading pedestrian intervals, which is an all red interval, except for that pedestrian crosswalk, which turns on. And I believe our SHA standard provides like a 7-second walk time prior to the associated side street or other movement getting the green to allow pedestrians to kind of get into the roadway first.
Right. Do you have traffic sensors at all of the lighted intersections along Greenbelt Road?
So traditionally, so I can't answer exactly if they are there or not. Traditionally, yes, that most, if not, I would say most of our SHA intersections have sensors. The much older intersections might have inductive loops in the ground which detect vehicles. Our current standard is to install video detection cameras to our mast arms that will then sense vehicles waiting. And then going back to the semi-actuation that I talked about before, it would be detecting those vehicles in those left turn lanes or on the side streets to know to switch to a different phase, which in that cycle. If other intersections are within a certain proximity, they're also a coordinated system. So that's part of our challenge with modifying signal timings at a single intersection, is because by increasing the green time or changing how the phasing operates, you're actually impacting adjacent signals down. And so the progression of those traffic signals and how vehicles are platooned and move forward can be heavily impacted. And so we do try to take great care when making those signal timing adjustments.
Yeah. It seems as though there are 3 or 4 different cycles, and on weekends it seems different than during the week. I've noticed in Montgomery County late at night, like between 1 and 5 in the morning, they actually, on Georgia Avenue, for example, the lights are set to flash yellow as opposed to being green and red. That seems to work pretty well. In Prince George's County, are we doing that? The light at Southway flashes yellow late at night as well. Is that something that saves energy? Or
so when overnight, it is a treatment that we do use sometimes. It improves sometimes operation because you're at a lower volume. And so rather than having some vehicles wait for an entire cycle before they get the green, it just allows them to proceed through the intersection, judge oncoming vehicles and find gaps and continue on their way. The downside with that is in areas that have pedestrians, because with a flashing signal, the pedestrian crosswalks are not activated anymore. So there no longer is a signalized crossing, and so it decreases pedestrian safety. So depending on the locations, we may not recommend a treatment like that because it could hurt pedestrians negatively.
That's important. Of course, in Greenbelt, everything pretty much closes at 10 o'clock at night. No, we close at 10.
That's how we know which lights are flashing.
I was going to say, that's why I know that one flashes, because of leaving council meetings late.
So, and also just in terms of actuation, whatnot, so the lights, the street lights, are they on all the time, or are some of them set with sensors? There's some intersections that are very, very dark, where a little bit of light would be helpful. when the cars are trying to get through, or when a cyclist is trying to get through. So are all the lights just on, street lights on or off, or are some of them light sensitive, responding to movement?
So the vast majority of lighting on SHA roadways is controlled by photocells, which detect ambient light and basically tell that light to turn on. Lighting on wood poles or by Pepco, because they're not within a system or they're not all connected together, each individual light might have its own photocell. At an interstate interchange where it's a large lighting system that are all controlled on one lighting cabinet, there might just be one photocell located at the cabinet, which turns on the entire system of lights at the same time. So that's traditionally how SHA does their lighting on our roadways.
Yeah, yeah. And what about the signs and whatnot? I've been seeing more and more flashing red stop signs or yellow caution signs. You know, there's one intersection that I'm thinking of that's very, very dark at night, coming down Kenilworth Avenue towards the courthouse. If you're trying to turn left onto Cherrywood Road, it is so dark there, it's hard to actually see the lane. Perhaps if there were a metallic sign or reflecting sign there, it would be helpful. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. It was very dark.
This is Kenilworth at Cherrywood.
Yes.
So we have an intersection lighting warrant analysis that we do follow to help determine which intersections enhanced lighting is warranted at. So we can look at that intersection and evaluate it and then follow up afterwards.
Any other comments about signals or street lights or signs? U-turn signs? No U-turn signs?
We have a couple of comments online. I'm not sure which intersection. Jay Davis says they did a traffic study at that intersection. I'm not sure which intersection we were talking about and decided nothing could be done. Although Ms. Garner says she's going to look into that. I'm not sure which intersection we were talking about at that point. And then Jay Davis also commented that in some states they have eliminated the pork chop right turn due to safety concerns. So more of a comment rather than a question.
Right. Are there any other questions online?
Recording in progress.
Okay. Let's pause. We have a question over here. Mr. Orleans, did you have a question? And I'm going to ask Ms. Ruby to comment, or she's probably got a couple of questions of her own in a few moments.
I do, but it's not on signalization or safety generally. I can't be certain. Was there a second SHA person online in addition to Ms. Mason? Or is it just Ms. Mason online? There are two?
No, yeah, there are two. Markeisha Garner and I am Derek Gunn's executive administrative assistant.
I was going to ask then if one of the four, the two online and the two here, whose names I also did not get, I'll ask later, is the district engineer? Are one of the four of you, two online and two here, the district engineer?
No, I'm his deputy. My name is Eric Florence, and the district engineer is Derek Gunn.
The reason I wanted to know that is that it's my impression that District 3, in addition to Montgomery County, covers all of Prince George's County. And there are ongoing discussions with, involving SHA at the state level with folks in the county and with the Virginia Department of Transportation with regard to the Southside study. I'm wondering if the District 3 engineer is involved in those discussions.
He is aware of those studies and he's involved.
He is involved in
Yes.
those continuing, because they have continuing series of meetings.
Any type of initiative or project in Prince George's or Montgomery County, the district engineer is involved, and by him being involved, that means we are involved at various levels, depending on the stage.
I'm happy to hear that. The question was posed last week at a meeting that's sponsored by VDOT, and it was not answered then that the District 3 engineer is involved.
At the level that it's being coordinated right now with the planning, the district office is more of an operations office. However, because it affects us, we are involved. We attend meetings and have opportunities to provide input.
I thank you. My last question might be a little unfair to ask, even if the District 3 engineer himself was here, but it's my impression that State Highways looks favorably on VDOT's proposal, and I was wondering if you have any insight as to whether that's accurate or not. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd love an answer. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I would say right now we don't really have a position. We rely on our planning office that are the main, the main ones who are providing the review for that study.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Ruby, you may have a couple of questions or items that you wanted to bring up. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's quite all right. You pretty much have addressed the questions I had written down. We have some specific resident concerns that we're working with SHA on. We're waiting for responses, but we're working that on the staff level. So we'll handle that in-house and so forth. They have to do just, if you're curious, one is just at 193 Kenilworth Avenue. If you're heading eastbound and you are near past the French Immersion School and you have the no left turn before the light, and then you go through the intersection. People find that very confusing because the hours indicate you could turn left there. So there's some contradiction there. So we've asked them to look at that, and they are looking at that. And the other is just the no merge area sign off of the Parkway onto Southway, and I believe that's in their maintenance. There is being planned. It's being scheduled. So.
Okay. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. So I've got a couple more questions about just infrastructure maintenance and aesthetics. So, I think the legislative session is ending or is ended. I don't know if it's still going on.
Till midnight.
Till midnight. Oh, my. One of the bills that one of our delegates put forward, Ann Healy, had to do with maintaining the sidewalk along State Highway right-of-way. We would love to be able to do that, but it's beyond our capacity. And it's a real problem when it snows or when the weather is extremely bad. The schools actually have to delay because the sidewalks are not cleared. Likewise, maintaining the street lights is something that's quite frankly beyond our capacity. We would have to increase our budget a whole lot at a time when we don't have any additional funding available. So I was just wondering, when sidewalk conditions get to the point where they are unsafe or where it's impossible for a person with who needs a physical accommodation to use the sidewalk, when there's a problem, do you step in to help? It's got to be a partnership. I mean, we don't have the capacity to, maintain whatever lights there are on Kenilworth Avenue. It's just beyond our capacity.
So I'll speak to both. As far as lights, SHA, we do maintain roadway lighting, street lighting. We have our own contractor that we use, and we do repair, we do maintenance, and we do installation. So that's something that will take the burden off of the city. And right now, we actually are focusing on an initiative to do upgrades to our lighting.
I was about to ask, have we moved to LED lighting?
Yes.
Pretty much 100%?
Right. Mm-hmm. We actually had designs on solar at one point, but that study didn't net any positive results. So, as far as sidewalk, I mean, right now the state is bound to, Maryland Code, which does delegate maintenance of sidewalk to all local jurisdictions, county or local municipalities. The state will, however, step in when it comes to structural repairs. But as far as clearing, snow removal, those type of things, that's onto the local municipalities and government.
Right. So an example where the 495 overpass is a bridge that goes over Greenbelt Road.
Yes.
and the sidewalk, there's a lot of silt that comes down the bridge. I'm not going to say that the bridge is in poor condition, but the undergirding, some of the concrete that holds the dirt in place is degraded. So this is a problem. And so that bridge, an overpass bridge, is that something state highway or is that the Federal Highway Administration?
So the good news is that State Highway does have a project. Our Office of Structures will be replacing that bridge. So it's probably
really?
identified it as it at the end of its useful life. And so they will, there's an actual funded project to replace that bridge. And as part of that project, there will be upgrades to the existing sidewalk and lighting under the bridge.
How are they going to do that? They're just going to put a overpass over that for the Beltway?
In my former
Detour.
life, I thought I had designs of being a structure engineer at one point, but typically when they do bridge construction, they build it in sections. So if you're interested in more of that, I can see what I can find along with a timeline. I don't have a schedule, but yes, that project is funded.
Yeah, that's good to know. Councilmember Pope.
Yes, thank you. And on that note, there's also a pothole right underneath, on the side, underneath that bridge. There's a pothole on the right.
Okay,
right
we
in
can
front
take care of that quicker.
Yeah, well, that's why, because this morning I'm like, this thing is getting a little bigger, because I'm,
What
so I was
direction?
going to mention it, but right in front of the, going towards,
On the north side?
on the right side, going past the Legion.
Okay.
Right by the Legion. Yeah,
So westbound?
westbound, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have no timeline on the replacement or for the bridge?
I would have to-
Approximately, just something?
I will have to contact our Office of Structures. They're the lead office that's managing, administering that project, and see if I can get some type of schedule from them.
Okay,
which I can
just
do.
so we have an idea when this is going to be.
I can follow up.
Thank you.
And that bridge and the sidewalk is a choke point for cyclists. Because when you get a little bit further west from there, there's the bike path on the street sort of begins. But so in replacing that bridge and the sidewalk, would you make accommodations for cyclists as well?
Yes, we're in discussions with Prince George's County as well as our Office of Structures in regards to what cross-section we're able to provide and what types of improvements we can provide for future bicyclists.
Right, because on the southern side, there's really no room for it just seems safer if there's going to be a bike path up and down Greenbelt Road in Greenbelt, and there should be one. It seems to me that it should be on the northern side and not the southern side where there's a merge onto the Parkway. And it's just, there's no sidewalk on that side. So staying with infrastructure maintenance and maintenance in general, litter and aesthetics is a pretty big concern all throughout Prince George's County. And that question about who is responsible for certain sections, the map that Mayor Pro Tem had up before, the ramp, the area between the sidewalk and the ramp there, closest to Greenbelt, right through here. Is that state highway or is it FHA that's responsible for pruning the trees and actually picking up litter and whatnot in that area?
The state, we are responsible for litter removal and vegetation clearing.
Okay. There's a fender and there's some other pieces of debris that have been out there for about a month.
Can you give me that location again?
Yeah, I'm trying to, I don't know.
It's just west of Hanover Parkway, between Hanover Parkway and the Baltimore-Washington Parkway ramp.
It's being very slow to share my screen for some reason, so it will eventually come back up.
Is it on the north side of 193?
Yes.
Here, I think this is where you're referring to, the vegetation and trash in this area?
Yeah, it's actually east of there, on the other side.
Oh, over here?
The other side.
Oh, all the way on the other side of Hanover?
There.
Okay,
Yeah, north of there, just above them.
okay.
Right curve. Yeah, and there've been questions from time to time about street sweepers and just being able to make sure that the right of way in the center is clean. How often do you sweep the streets, both Greenbelt Road and Kenilworth Avenue?
So we have a street sweeping contractor, and that cycle is every 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then for interstates, we do every 2 weeks.
Okay, so if we have an issue, or if our residents call and they say, "Hey, City of Greenbelt, why don't you clear off that road there?
Mm-hmm.
It's right there on Greenbelt Road." We should just, is there a number that we can call?
We have our customer care management system, CCMS.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the quickest way for any resident to contact the state with a request. And then that request will get routed to the appropriate office.
Okay.
Ms. Markeisha Garner she's on the Zoom, and she manages our CCMS. And so she will help route that for that would be our maintenance forces.
Oh, okay. Ms. Garner, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a big thing throughout Prince George's County. I think there's a big initiative, Growing Greener with Prince George's County. I think it's this weekend or next weekend. So a lot of folks, a lot of municipalities in the county in general are really focused in on litter and trying to get it up. Do you ever work with municipalities or work with volunteers, volunteer groups to try and maintain stretches of state highway? And I know there's that program where people can sponsor a section of a highway. Is that still in existence?
You're talking about Adopt a Highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have it. The program is not as robust as it used to be, but we do still have the program. It's usually run by our maintenance shops.
What does it take to sponsor a piece of highway?
I don't know all the ins and outs, but I can give you the basics. It's really just having an interest group contact the maintenance shop, their local maintenance shop, and then that shop will work with that group to dedicate a certain area that they want to sponsor, and in that they would have those responsibilities of beautification, aesthetics, and keeping it well manicured.
Okay, and that's through Ms. Garner, or is that through?
Well, no, I wasn't trying to deflect to Ms. Garner. I was just letting you know that she is on the call and that she's very vital in helping us route our CCMS tickets when we get them. That's all.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
Yeah, related to the street sweeping, is that cycle published anywhere, like the dates when it would next come through? Because I don't know that there may be some residents who want to request, like, say, hey, can you do this again? But I think even just knowing, it was done last week, so the next time is going to be in 3 weeks. Is that schedule available anywhere?
I think it's available. However, again, if we do get a request, I don't think it's an issue with us sharing that, hey, we came through 2 weeks ago, and so we're scheduled to come through in another 2 weeks.
Okay, so just put in a request for
right, because
the information.
contractors, you don't use the same contractor, and so a lot of times it just depends on how long we have that contractor, and if we switch to another one. And
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Other questions or concerns about maintenance, litter, or aesthetics? Here's another one. On Kenilworth Avenue, there's the right-of-way. There's no sidewalks on Kenilworth Avenue. And I guess
Recording in progress.
there aren't any bioswales or any environmental appliances that need to be maintained. But what's the future of Kenilworth Avenue now that the Purple Line is just a couple of years off? Knock on wood. Are there going to be any additional improvements, or are there studies going on with Kenilworth Avenue, just in terms of sidewalks or improvements for bicycle and pedestrian access? It's my understanding with the Purple Line, there was there's no additional parking being built there. So somehow for people in Greenbelt, in Glendale and whatnot, to get to, you can either go to College Park, or they can just go straight down Kenilworth. Are you aware of any additional accommodations that are in the works for cyclists or pedestrians, or for just getting people back and forth to the Purple Line from Greenbelt?
So Kenilworth Avenue, Maryland 201, is a designated PSAP corridor, pedestrian safety action plan. And so we are actively moving forward with that project. It's in the very, very early stages, basically the data collection stage. The limits of that would be from Good Luck Road south into the Riverdale area.
Right.
And so with Purple Line and their amenities they're building, which is ADA compliant sidewalk, we would come behind them after construction and put in complete streets improvements such as ADA compliant sidewalk, bicycle amenities, probably some type of lane narrowing to control speed a little bit. And so that would be what we would do to help with connectivity to the Purple Line.
Right. I think, if there was some way, we would like to maybe weigh in on that a little bit, because the question in my mind is, down 10 years from now, when people are using the Purple Line heavily to get over to Bethesda or out to New Carrollton, I would see an increase in interest in cyclists in particular being able to ride a bike safely from Greenbelt down to East-West Highway.
So there will be a public comment opportunity for the Maryland 201 PSAP project. We haven't got there yet. Every PSAP project, there's a public involvement meeting that's held very early in the process, where the sole purpose of the meeting is to gather feedback from the public. And so right now, our Office of Planning is the lead office for that. And as they move forward and get beyond the data collection stage and start looking at putting together concepts, they'll initiate a public involvement meeting, which they will invite the district office, and we would be in attendance along with the planning office and any other office that's related to the project itself.
Right. Yeah, I think we'd be interested in weighing in on it, or at least being on the list of stakeholders possibly in that process. We work really closely with our sister municipalities. We are in communication and meet with Riverdale Park and Edmonston. And it's all one roadway. The lines that divide our municipalities are lines on paper. They're real lines, but at the same time, we want to have some continuity.
Agreed. And we will make sure that once we get that information, we'll pass it on.
Okay. Hey, well, we've covered a lot of ground, and I'm just wondering if council has any additional questions or things that we've not covered. City Manager Summerun, you've got a quizzical look on your face. You probably have tons of questions, issues you want to bring up. Anything you want to bring up? Okay. Well, we're really appreciative of this opportunity to talk, to kind of check in on some of the issues we've been talking about for quite some time. So it's encouraging hearing about some of the new accommodations on Greenbelt Road with flex poles being installed. Good to know that our requests for speed studies in different locations are being honored. And I, for one, and I know council and a lot of our residents are just really anxious to get a solution, Hanover Parkway and Greenbelt Road, to the lighting the crosswalk there. That's very important. Any other points you want to emphasize as we move away, and you'll report back to us? Hey, are there any other studies, traffic studies going on around us that we should be aware of? I know there was a study on the 193 corridor in Delphi. Did that go up to Route 1? Maybe it's a couple of years ago.
On Greenbelt Road at Rhode Island, this is within College Park,
Rhode Island,
but it's just when Greenbelt Road leaves 193.
Okay.
We're installing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, an RRFB, at that intersection for both the West and East Lake crosswalks.
Huh.
That way, when a pedestrian will have the ability to now press a push button to activate the flashing lights and provide enhanced warning and safety for those crossings.
Yeah, you could probably use one of those in Greenbelt someplace. Also, do you have any of that green paint left over?
We have some.
we got some. All right. If you got any of that green paint left over, no, seriously, it really makes a big difference. And I've seen green paint along with white paint in the city of Baltimore. They've used that quite a bit. So I think visibly it does a good job of delineating bike areas and pedestrian areas, crosswalks, better than just the white paint. Can't cost that much more. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to follow up. We'll send a thank you letter with some of the points from the discussion, get that out to you. Is there anything we can do to help you guys?
No, I think this was a very good forum. I appreciate the hospitality and the very direct conversation we've had. We have a lot of notes. We'll go back and reconcile our notes between the four of us and make sure that we start putting together some responses.
Yeah,
I would ask, what's the frequency? Because I looked at the agenda, and I think the last time we met was in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We met
Since then.
2023?
2024.
Okay. I was here. I must have missed it. I apologize.
Okay. Hey, one thing that used to happen at the office there on Kenilworth is there would be an open house from time to time, every year or two. You going to start doing that again?
An open house? Yeah, there's actually something, if I may for a minute, our district engineer, Derek Gunn, one of his visions is to open the district. And I know Markeisha, she's on, and she probably has as much knowledge about this as I do, but he wants to create an open environment for the district, open the district up, and allow for the neighboring, the adjacent communities, the municipalities to come in and just have a space to talk to us. And we have that nice auditorium, so.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen your auditorium.
It's nice.
How big is it?
Pretty big, but yeah, it's about the size of this room.
Oh, okay. I mean, maybe you could host an open house for the municipalities.
I mean, I'll make sure I pass this along to him, and he can get in contact with you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I was just going to comment that the cycle of meetings, hopefully we don't need to wait until the next time we see you in person for some of these updates. So I know we appreciate the chance to talk to you,
sure.
but yeah, that and the other thing that occurred to me is the city's doing this Touch a Truck event. Maybe we could get some outside partners to bring some of your equipment to show the kids and stuff.
That's right. April 26th.
Touch a Truck? What is that? Touch a Truck? Uh-huh. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take note of that. Even a flower? Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're going to kind of wrap things up. I did have an information item that I want. Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you for your work. And thank you, Ms. Mason. Yeah. And Ms. Garner.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
So, City Manager Summerall, I was just wondering how things are coming along with the pool, the municipal pool.
Yes, the team started doing preparation work.
Okay, but the equipment, oh man, I'm blanking on
Fitness center?
Fitness center. Yeah. It's still open. Okay, the pool and the hot tub. Okay, and the outdoor pool, what's the goal for when that will open up?
Well, we're hoping to get a permit to operate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're working towards, I think, about a month away. As soon as we get that time to operate.
Fantastic.
And the invitation still stands on drinking water.
Yeah,
do
do
that.
a ice,
Polar plunge.
a polar plunge.
Yeah.
I have a question to that though. There is this little, this little toddler pool or area, the little baby pool, which hasn't been used in years. So what are we going to do with that? Is that a possibility that we kind of rejuvenate that little area? And I think it could use maybe some new fencing because that really looks pretty sad.
I understand there's a problem with the conflict. Water station. That's the big issue.
Right. I'm just thinking now that the indoor one is closed, maybe we want to make use of the, of this area as well. So, but, right.
So it's not operational, it's not a budget, this current fiscal year project is six budget.
Right. Okay, do you want to just can we just cover it up or something at least? I mean, it's very unsightly. It just really looks, it's deteriorated and it looks terrible, and this old fence around it, it just looks bad. So maybe we can just cover it with something and maybe at least take care of the fencing so nobody will walk onto it or into it or whatever. But I think we should take a look at it and see how we can make that a little bit more attractive at least.
Let me discuss it with you, repairing it would be expensive, I wouldn't want to do it with the Department of the City.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
once you fill it,
Yeah.
forget about it.
Right.
Can we fill it with like the plastic balls?
Sand?
No, that's probably not a good idea. That's just,
Yeah.
It's a ball pit.
Let's make a sandbox out of it, or at least something, the kids could play in it or something. I mean,
Thanks for bringing that up. I was talking to some fourth graders last week, and one of them brought that up. Just
Really?
said the water's kind of nasty looking.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No.
Unless council would like to see a recreation area, a flat area like that, they could take the donation.
Well, and then what happens if the splash pad, the splash pad comes to fruition finally?
In speaking with the team, we just had this conversation. What that kind of project. West, like to look at the project, like to look at the video. Current cost is at $5 million. We need to submit our plan by April 18th. So we're going to do this week, go to, and so looking at splash pad cost over $1 million, that's we're going to be ambitious. Terry used the word modest. Elevator project,
Wow, that would be good.
yeah, so that's enough to, that might be enough to, actually not quite enough to replace one elevator. We need the same. The order that we have to find additional funds to replace the elevator. We'll have to pick which elevator to replace first, two elevators.
Of course.
So, are we gonna pursue the second elevator for the west money, like the
Well,
Center roof.
oh, right.
That is,
Yeah, expensive.
significant project, $5 million. The pre-contributions will be about $50,000. That money is no longer available. We have to look at that basement in the public today.
Yeah.
We talked about the, I don't know if you, I guess you're talking about the entire roof for the youth center, I don't know, but I remember that Mr. Varda told us about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or so ago, I think maybe it might have been at the last budget sessions, that the roof on the youth center is a different kind of roof. It's a foam roof.
Right.
And he said, that's why it looks bad. He said, don't go by what it looks like. He said that they had it tested. Apparently the company that does those types of roofs, they have a method of testing them. He said it's not leaking at all. This was, a year or so ago. So I'm wondering if the roof is not leaking, why are we going to spend $1.5 million on it? It's not a traditional shingle roof where you replace it every 20 years. This is a foam roof that can last as long as it lasts. The thing to do would be to just periodically have it tested. If it's not leaking, you leave it alone. Stop, we have a lot of things to spend our money on. Let's not spend it on things that we don't have to.
Hey, I do remember Mr. Varda saying it, but it was more like 2 or 3 years ago. So if Mr. Kim is saying it's at a critical point now.
We just had this conversation this morning. Carrie was in the room, Ray was in the room, Kim was in the room. And it's terrific. What happened was the project today,
Right.
Right.
and we talked about this earlier today. We talked about how do we scale back the project. We're just focused on the roof today. It's actually something else we need to compare the lead section. We put enough information. They said it's critical for programming as well. So I will set up a tour with council as we've done in other projects. As you know, it's my practice. If I'm going to ask you $10 million, I want you to see this project. So I would schedule a tour.
How are we going to look
Yeah,
at the
that's,
roof?
that's
How,
weird, 'cause it's showing.
what are we going to tell from looking at the roof?
I'm sorry?
What are we going to tell from looking at the roof? What are we going to stand on the ground and look up at the roof?
No, it looks bad. I mean,
You
if you
gotta
go out the
climb.
rear door of the community center over by the skate park and just look at it, it's
Well, but that's the issue. It's not a regular roof that is going to look like a regular roof. And who cares what it looks like, as long as it's not leaking. That's the problem. That's the thing. Yeah, okay, it doesn't look the same as another roof. Paint it or whatever you want to do, but just because it doesn't look good doesn't mean it's leaking and needs to be replaced.
I understand that it is leaking. It's got moisture underneath the roof, and it needs to be replaced. I will print out copies of the reports and get those to you.
Hey, the other thing, so tomorrow night is a overview of the armory. Can you describe that quickly?
Sure. If you recall the proposal from the team, the Armory concept design for the citizen-led initiative, that community engagement is broken up into four sections. So tomorrow is the introduction of those 4 sections. I don't have the different topics in front of me, but in short, the total project or the life cycle of vetting a citizen-led concept for the Armory has 4 sections, several feedback charrettes, and then there's a consensus dialogue at the end where the consultants review all the information gathered and double checks the information with what residents have presented. And that becomes the concept that will be presented to council as the citizen-led concept. And that's one of 3 concepts that will be presented to council. That one concept that council requested to review or have the consultants vet is a municipal fire station concept, a concept that is based on best practice and the professional opinion of the consultants, and then a citizen-led concept.
All right, so council will have an opportunity to weigh in. On the process, that's at 7 o'clock tomorrow here in the municipal building?
Correct. And it's going to be for 4 Tuesday. Do you have that scheduled, Marina? Yes, please.
It's, oh, I just lost it. Introductions on April 8th, followed then by breakout sessions the following Tuesday. Let me just find it. I just have it. My apologies. I can't enlarge things and hold a mic at the same time, obviously. Yes.
And charrettes is that exercise for putting stickers on posters.
Rolling up your sleeves is like we like to call it. And then consensus would be on April 29th. So introductions, breakout sessions, charrette, and consensus. Each Tuesday from 7 to 9 here.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to highlight that.
And Mr. Mayor, you said is council going to have the option to weigh in, and as you're weighing on all of it, you weighed in on the design of these concepts, and then you get to decide which one you want or don't want.
Okay. So if there is no further information to discuss, let's go ahead and call it a night. Good night, everybody.